Us Against Alzheimer's series, Giving Voice to What Matters Most, features the stories of people who are living with dementia or at high risk for the disease. Tracy Lind, Greg O'Brien, and Daisy Duarte recently met by Zoom to talk about issues that are important to them. By sharing their experiences, they hope to reduce stigma and misconceptions about dementia and empower others to speak freely and live life to the fullest. Tracy, Greg, and Daisy start by telling their personal stories.
In some ways, I think the shutdown was actually good for me because our schedule really slowed down and our speaking travel came to a screeching halt and life got simpler. And I honestly think that was good for me. I was able to maintain my commitment to SHIELD, to sleeping and handling stress and social interaction and learning new things and exercise and diet. I was able to do all of those things in the midst of the COVID shutdown. But as the world started to open up, it's gotten harder and more confusing for me. Harder for me to figure out what I'm allowed to do, and confusing of making sure I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to do. So 4 months in, I'm finding it a little confusing.
Well, four months in, it's made me more, I'm paranoid. I'm not going to lie. I'm very paranoid in every aspect. I'm paranoid going to the grocery store, even though we were on lockdown for 3 months, because we just opened up, 3.5 months? Yeah, because it's been like 2 weeks that we've been completely open. And it's like, it just scares me just seeing the numbers go up and down, and I have to go to the grocery store to get my mom's food, my son's food. So it's just like, you don't know if you're a carrier. You know, every time I go in my mom's room, I'm spraying Lysol and putting a glove and mask on, you know, just making sure she doesn't get it. Because I've worked so hard to keep her at ease, you know, with Alzheimer's. To see her go with a virus like this it would devastate me, to be honest with you.
This disease affects us all differently, you know, and so when we start asking questions like this, I have to write notes because I can't answer unless I write notes. So first thing I wrote was humor. I think we covered that. Loss of concentration, tremendous loss. Uncertainty about the future, my family, my health. I think you know, and there's no pity here, my cancer is on the rise again. So the stress comes on like a fog, and sometimes it comes in heavy, and sometimes you just see it drift, and I'm drifting out to Pluto again. And the rage is out of control at times, and it's scaring my wife and kids, and they don't know how to deal with it. So I leave the house, and then sometimes when I leave, because I leave when I'm angry. I've lived in this neighborhood for 37 years. I don't know where the hell I am, and that's not a good thing. So I don't know. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how'd you like the show? And we could get you some popcorn at halftime. That was a joke, Tracy.
I've been working on this litany in my head, and it goes something like this. Okay, so it's religious, but Greg started it. I wrote this down too. I have to make notes about everything. In the beginning, God breathed and created. Then we lost our way and we lost our breath. And then Moses came along and showed people the way, but they had to hold their breath when they walked through the water. And then Jesus came and the Romans took away his breath on a cross. And then the risen Christ came to the frightened disciples who were locked away in an upper room, and he breathed on them, right? And he gave them new life. And over again, in gas chambers and epidemics and industrial pollution and lynchings and climate change and now COVID, we lose our breath. And we've all been hiding away in locked rooms for fear of the virus. But the COVID quarantine also gave the world time to breathe, this kind of great pause. And in the middle of that, George Floyd was killed by the police and he died crying, "I can't breathe." And then we all took to the streets, risking our own breath to stand in solidarity with George Floyd and our Black and brown sisters and brothers. And then the police released tear gas into the crowds, again, taking away our ability to breathe. And then many retaliated, which sent the rest of us back into locked rooms for fear. And now we're trying to breathe together and yet apart. That's what 4 months now really feels like.
Wow.
That we're trying to breathe together and yet apart. And those of us with various forms of dementia are trying to hold on to our brains in this really crazy mixed up world.
Breathing is an involuntary thing. Let us pray that love becomes an involuntary thing, where it just happens all across the country. And this world, this country of ours, is in tough shape. We need to love more and hate less, and we need to expose the haters.
I keep thinking, Greg, would it be like if I were still on the streets as a faith leader and you were still on the streets as a journalist? And Daisy, you'd be feeding us all as a restaurant manager. Here we are doing this conversation.
Daisy, it's got to be on the subject of breathing when you look at your mom. I mean, what Tracy just said was so profound. You worry about that breathing?
I do worry about the breathing, the whole aspect of the word, and the aspect of, I think that's how she's going to leave, is obviously either she's going to choke with food, not breathing well, or she's going to pass away in her sleep, or it could be her getting the coronavirus and not breathing. So in every aspect of the word, I'm scared of it, because you love someone so much, you don't want to see them suffer. You just want them to go peacefully in their sleep. But who are we to determine what God has planned for her, how she's going to leave us?
Us Against Alzheimer's series, Giving Voice to What Matters Most, is made possible thanks to the generous support of Sean Taylor and KBB Corporation.